Okay, we are going to do some pretty way out stuff a little bit today. All right, so we're going to enter into some other, maybe a little more weird than usual, but not too much because we often get kind of weird. So I want to go to the blessings that Yaakov gives his sons, okay? And, I have to add all these people. I'm adding you. Okay, I don't know what's going on. Just adding. Okay, so with the blessings of Yaakov, I'm sorry. We're gonna have to get this together. I don't know. I can't. I'm trying to. All right. The blessings that Yaakov gives his sons. That's what we're gonna do tonight. We're gonna do one of the sons that he gives a blessing to, which is very, very strange blessing. It's not the kind of blessing you want to give your son. He basically tells him off. Okay, and that's Reuven. Okay, the first son of Yaakov. Instead of a blessing, he gets a pie in the face. Okay, that's what he gets. It's kind of rough. So let's read what the story is, and you're going to see some incredible things here about the story of Reuven. So now, okay, Eliana, you can see me good. Thank you. I appreciate that. Now, so we're going to read here, for those who want to follow, it's going to be in the English Hebrew ones, page 274. Okay, it's chapter Memches 49, and it is verse 3. Okay, here's the text, what it says. So Yaakov wants to bless his sons, tell him about the future. He calls in Reuven, the oldest son, and here's the text. Reuven, Bechori, you are my eldest. Atah, you are my eldest. Kochi v'reishis oni, you are my strength and the first of my power. Okay, that was Reuven. Yaakov was known that he had all of his energy was maintained, never leaked out. And his energy is given to his first being that he creates is Reuven. And therefore, according to this, Reuven, since you were my first, yeter seis yeter oz. I'm going to write this down on the board. And this is the beauty of, we'll see this. Hope it's not going backwards here. Tell me it's going backwards, Eliana. Yeter. Higher?
You could go behind the rabbi's head if you write on the same level.
What's that? Right above my head? All right, that's a good idea. All right. How's this? Yeter seis. Okay, you see that? Yeter seis. Not so good. And yeter oz. Yeter oz. He says to him like this. You, Reuven, should add yeter, extra, seis. Seis is raised up. You should have extra power. The seis is the word of being raised up, the firstborn. According to Rashi, it's the Kohanim. They raise their hands. You, Reuven, should have had yeter, more. The word yeter is more. Yeter, grandeur. Firstborn, the Kohen should have been. And yeter, oz, and yeter, strength. The kingship also, the strength. That's what you were supposed to have because you were the firstborn. But, sorry, ain't going to happen. Why? Pachaz kamayim al totar. But you were impetuous like water, so you will not have this greatness. You will not get the extra benefits. Why? What did Reuven do that was so bad? Ki alisa mishkevei avicha. Because you went up on your father's bed, az chilalta yitzuei Allah, and then you desecrated, he was on my bed. Now, what's this referring to? Everyone knows the story there. The story is that Reuven, he did something, and we'll see what exactly he did. The simple explanation of what he did was that Yaakov has 4 wives, right? So he has a bed in every different tent because that's where they lived. He would go in different places. So the main place that he was by Rachel, who was his main wife that he was working for, that he loved the most. Now, Rachel's handmaiden, right, her name was Bilhah. I'm going to write it down in Hebrew for you, and you will see this afterwards, why I'm doing all these things. Bilhah. You see that? Yeah, kind of see that. She was Bilhah. That was Rachel's handmaiden. And what happened was, she became, a free wife, but she was not like the main wife. It was Rachel that should have been Leah. And what happened was when Rachel died, so Yaakov took his bed and he moved it into the tent of Bilhah, who was Rachel's kind of extension, instead of moving it into the tent of Leah. Now, Reuben is a son of Leah, and he got angry, and he moved the bed. He went in. The simple explanation Rashi says, we're going to see it's maybe not exactly that, according to some of the commentaries. According to Rashi, he went in, he took the bed, and he moved it into the tent of Leah, his mother, and felt it was a disgrace that Yaakov was moving his permanent, or his was more regular domain into Bilhah. That's the name there, Bilhah, instead of into Yaakov, into Leah's tent. That was the story. Okay? And somehow that was such a serious offense that he loses everything. He loses Yeter Seis, the extra greatness, and the Yeter Oz, and the grandeur, and the strength, to be the king, and to be the Kohen, and to be the firstborn. He loses all of this because he moved the beds. It sounds like a little bit much, no? A little harsh, sounds like. Now, I want to tell you something but it's even harsher because the Torah itself calls what he did, it says Bilhah slept. Reuben slept with Bilhah. It says Vayishkav. It actually says, the Torah itself implies or says that he didn't say he moved the beds. It accuses him of more than that. It says Vayishkav, he slept with her. To this, the Talmud says, whoever says that he slept with her makes a mistake. That's not what happened. Okay? He didn't sleep with her. He moved the beds. But it begs the question. Because why, if he didn't sleep with her, and I know that's the Talmud says it, whoever says Reuben did that makes a mistake. Fantastic. Okay. But I don't understand. So why would the Torah say that he slept with her? This is Reuben, the great Reuben. He did something wrong. He seems to have taken a big punishment for it. The question then becomes, why would the Torah itself go and say that strong language? He slept with her, right? You hear that? Yeah. It's a big problem. It's really strange. So tonight, we're going to talk about is the story of Reuben, what he lost, why he lost it. What's the story of Bilhah, and even why the Torah says that he slept with her? What does that imply? Because when you say sleeping, it's like he took his wife away. He took as if Reuben, and watch what I'm going to say here because you'll remember it later. It's as if Reuben took away Bilhah in some sense from Yaakov. That's the implication of saying he slept with her. If he didn't sleep with her, but the Torah says he did, the implication is somehow he's taken Yaakov's wife, Bilhah, in some sense, from Yaakov. Just moving the bed, it's hard to understand how that happens. Okay, let's understand. So, his name is Reuven. How do you get the name Reuven? What's the name Reuven? Look, right. Look. Now, it's not simply because the text does say that Hashem saw that she wasn't as loved as Rachel was, but the name Reuven means to see, but what does the second part of the name mean? What? Son. So that can't be the only reason, because it says Reuven means, and this is good for anyone named Reuben out there, you know what your name means? It means see the son. Ru, see my son. He's so beautiful. Like all these parents, oh, isn't he adorable? See my son, he's beautiful. What does that mean? So Rashi says what he was saying was, what Leah was saying prophetically, she was saying, see the difference between my son and the son of my in-laws. Everyone's got a thing with their in-laws. What's her in-laws? Her in-laws are Rivka and Yitzchak. Now they have a eldest son. What's their eldest son's name? Esav. And she's saying, look at the difference between my son, the eldest, Reuven, and Esav. Esav sells his birthright to Yaakov, and then he wants to kill him. Now, what happened to Reuven? Reuven loses his birthright essentially to Yosef. Yosef gets the double portion, not Reuven. Does Reuven go and try to kill Yosef? No. What he does is the opposite. He goes to save him. So that's what Rashi says she was saying prophetically. Reuben, look at the difference between my son, Reuven, and the other older brother, Esav, who hated his younger brother and wanted to have him killed. My son Reuven, he was not only not jealous of his younger brother who took the birthright, really he was given it. Yaakov gave a double portion to Yosef, and not only did he not kill him, he went to save his life. Okay, very nice, beautiful. All right, I hear. So that's a nice idea. I like that. But I want to tell you it's a little deeper than that, because what the name was Reuven, see the son. It's kind of like this is like the son, see the boy. There's only one boy, and the sages tell us something else. She was comparing to Esav, but she was comparing it to another brotherly relationship that did not go too well. Okay, so I don't know who here is an older brother, a younger brother. Out there in Facebook land, who is a younger brother and older brother? Older brothers, have you ever felt jealous of your younger brother and wanted to take him out of the picture when he was getting all the attention from the parents, right? Kid's born, and the oldest son is the, he's got everything, and then this little brat comes along, and the parents are all cute over the kid. The older brother wants to just take out the younger brother. He wants to get rid of him. This is a real dynamic that we live with. And this is a question of jealousies that arise and relationships in sibling relationships. And if they're not done properly, they have terrible consequences. What is the worst sibling consequence that you could think of? Murder. What? Murder. And which case would you think of that? The first brothers in history. Isn't that amazing? That's what it's referring to. Reuven, see my son. See the difference between my son, Reuven, the older one, and how he acts, and how the first son in history acted. Who's the first son in history? Cain. Cain, he is jealous of his younger brother, Hevel, and he wants to have him killed. And he kills him. Right? Now, let me ask you a question. We got to understand, why was Cain so jealous? What happened? And you guys probably know one part of the story, but there's two parts of the story here. So before we say what Cain was jealous about, we got to do what we always do. We got to look at the names in Hebrew to understand the mentality here. All right, let's look at the names. So the name Cain, why was it called? Does anyone know why it was called Cain? Kanisi Isa Hashem. So Chava, right, says, I have acquired a man from God. So what happens is Cain is the first person, and she calls him the word Cain from the word koneh, to acquire something. He's something. I've made a person. Now, I want you to understand something. The word to acquire something means that I am something of value. Let's contrast that with the name of his brother. His brother's name is Hevel. What does Hevel mean? What does Hevel stand for? Vapor. Hevel. Cain and Hevel have two completely different approaches in life. Cain is, I'm a somebody. I've acquired something. And Hevel is, I'm nothing. I'm just air. I'm vapor. Hevel. Now, which one's better? What? Neither. Neither. So it's always the right. Always the right answer. Either both or neither. That's the right answer. Now, why is that? Because we know every trait can be used for good or bad. So let's see. What trait would you think is good in the idea of a kain? I'm a somebody. I've acquired something. What trait would be positive? Trait would be positive. I could do something. I matter. I make a difference. What's the negative trait? I matter. I make it. No, but when you take it to the nth degree, it's bad, right? Because I matter. It's me. I'm the most important person in the world. So when you look at yourself that you are somebody, on the positive side, you will do something in life. But the more that you take yourself of importance, the more you believe everything you're entitled to. You know who I am. I deserve this. That's the Cain story. Cain story. Let's look at the Hevel story. What's the bad side of being vapor? Hevel, I don't do anything. What am I? I'm nothing. I'm a nobody. I'm a nothing. What's the good side of it? That I'm humble. Now let's understand the story of Cain and Hevel. You'll see it's exactly this. Who was the one who brought the first offering? We know the story that Cain and Hevel both bring an offering. We know that Cain's offering was not accepted. He brought the junky stuff. Okay, he brought the pits and the peels thinking that this is not usable. I'll give this to God. It was not accepted. And Hevel brings the best of his flock, and Hevel's offering is answered. Who thought of the idea to bring an offering in the first place? It was Cain. It was Cain. Why? Because Cain said, I'm a somebody. I can go and I could initiate this and go and to bring an offering. That's what he thought. Hevel, on the other hand, said, what am I? I'm a nobody. I bring an offering to God? Who am I to talk to God? Who am I to have a relationship with God? So Cain is the one who initiates it. Hevel copies Cain. Once Hevel sees, oh, that's a good idea, you could do that, he thinks of it also. But he would have never initiated himself. Cain initiates it. Now, what happens is once Hevel is accepted, Cain is jealous. Because why? Again, his trait, that's his trait. His trait is, I'm a somebody. You know who I am? I'm me. I'm the most important person here. So in his mind, now, this is the worst thing in the world. The jealousy because of who I am, I got to get rid of this guy. Now, I'll tell you, there's another reason why Cain was jealous of Abel. This is a little bit freaky. If you've never heard this before, it's a little bit squeamish.
Sisters thing. Yeah.
So if Cain and Abel are the first people, who'd they marry? A little squeamish out there in Facebook land. It's not going to be good. So who they married, they had twin sisters born with them, and they married their sisters. Now, if you look at the verse that says about the birth of Cain and Abel, it says they gave birth to Cain, et Cain. It says the word et. The word et in Hebrew is an inclusion. So it includes, the word et includes that Cain was born, and Cain, or et Cain, he was born with a twin sister who he marries. If you look at the verse by Hevel, it says 2 times. Et Hevel, Achiv, et says 2 times, 2 inclusions. Do you know why? Because Hevel was born with 2 sisters. He was triplets. And so the way they did is they married their sister. So Cain, who is a somebody, has tremendous jealousy. Because what happens is that Cain is not only being usurped by his kid brother who brings the offering that's accepted by God, but he is married to has 2 sisters, 2 wives now, and Cain has 1. And you got to understand, in the mentality of Cain, this is eating him up. This is destroying him. And he's full of jealousy because of who he is. That's the story. Now, what happens is Cain gets very, very upset. He's very upset. Now, watch what God says to, see if this works on Facebook land on the back. He says, listen, Cain, don't get so angry. Because im tetev, if you fix up your ways, then you will be se'es. You will be raised up. Ooh, that's the same word. If you fix up your ways, Cain, you'll get raised up. Don't worry, you're not gonna stay down, you'll also get raised up. The same word appears. Now, what does that mean? Let me explain something a little bit mystical for a moment, but we'll understand it. I'll say it in the just natural, normal way, and then we'll talk it in a more mystical way. In the simple way, the challenge that Cain was unsuccessful in the story of Hevel, by killing his brother, and the challenge that Esav was unsuccessful in too, was given to Reuven. That mission to fix up the jealousy of the older brother who's going to now have this relationship with his younger brother, that was given to Reuven to fix up. That was his job. Kabbalistically, what it means is actually he's a Gilgal. The soul of Reuven of Cain is actually coming back into Reuven, and that's what she means. Reuben, see the son. It's the same son, but he's now fixing up whatever the mission that Cain had to do. Is that amazing? Fascinating. Okay. Now I just want to tell you. Okay, so fine. All right, good. Now, so it sounds great. It sounds like he fixed it up. So what happened here? What was wrong? What was Reuven's problem? What did he do? So he fixes up part of the jealousy of Yosef. But part of it he doesn't fix up. Let's understand. What did he do with Bilhah? This is what he did. And this is just mind-boggling. I said he mixed up the beds. Here's what the commentaries say he actually did. When Yaakov moved his bed into Bilhah's tent, he wanted to have another child with Bilhah, which would be Nachas Ruach, which would be a comfort to Rachel who just died. And the commentaries say that he was going to have a child that night with her. And it was supposed to happen. According to the Arizal, it would have been twins even. I'm not going to get into that right now. But I'm going to say according to the Malbim, according to one of the commentary, he was going to have another child, which would have been the 13th child. Now, for those who know, when we talk about an object in the physical world, it spreads out to 12 lines here. That's 12 months of the year. If you count the lines in a physical object, three-dimensional object, you see there's 12 lines. One spreads out into 12, right? Yaakov has 12 children. And that's the 12 months of the year. The 13th one represents the idea of uniting the whole thing. And what Reuven did that night, it says, is that he was so upset that Yaakov was not giving the honor to his mother that he kept walking around right outside the tent. Kind of the way some kids do when parents are, go to sleep already. He wouldn't go. He was sticking around, and Yaakov heard him, and the commentaries say he was not with Bilhah, and they didn't have that child. So watch what happens here. This is incredible. Because what happened is that that's what it means that he slept with Bilhah. He didn't sleep with her. So why did the Torah say he slept with her? Because what it's saying is that he prevented, in a certain sense, Yaakov's wife from Yaakov. He prevented Yaakov from being with Bilhah. Now, what happens is that this is a little tricky now. I admit today's a little bit out there, but try to hold our minds in this one. Yeah, remember, Reuven here is the fixing up of Cain. Now, Cain killed Abel because he was jealous of him because he was the one whose offering was answered. He was also jealous about the twin, right? And that is here the child that represents in the name of Bilhah. You see Bilhah? Can you guys see that? I want to take this letter named Bilhah. I'm going to flip it around for you if you can see there. If you flip the letters around, it spells the name Hevel. And this is the other child that we're going to have. Reuven, pretty way out there. Reuven, what he did was he did not fix up the job, because what he did was he still had the jealousy that his mother was not being treated in the right way, which was jealousy for him. Because he felt, hey, my mother is gonna, is being second fiddle, which means that's a hard thing for him as a human being to handle. So what he did was he fixed up partially the story of Yosef by saving Yosef, and fixed up the story of Cain and Hevel, but he still prevented, from his jealousy, he prevented this child from coming into the world. And that child represents here, he's preventing, so to speak, his brother Hevel from the same jealousy. Now watch this, it gets even wilder here, because it's going to go on many levels. So just watch this a second. So, all right, so we got Reuven. Reuven is supposed to fix up the story of Cain, and he partially does it, and he doesn't do it fully, and he loses out because of this jealousy still. Now, what happened afterwards? So if Reuven didn't finish the job of Cain, who did? What do you say?
The souls of Cain and Abel.
So the amazing thing, the soul here of Cain is fixed up now through another person who also has the power to feel himself great and powerful, and he fixes it up through the humility. And that person is named Yitro. And now if you start looking at the words behind me, you see an amazing thing. What do the words say? You, Reuven, should have been the top. You should have been Yeter Seis. You should have been raised up, like Cain could have been raised up. Yeter is Yitro. That's his name, Yeter. Yeter Seis. You could have been raised up, and now you're not going to be. It's going to be Yitro. It's going to take that over. VaYeter Oz. Oz is the Torah. There's one Parsha. This is actually the word Yitro here, the Vav. It's one Parsha added to the Torah, which is because of Yitro. Yitro ends up being the one who takes over this mission of Reuven. Reuven partially did it, but he couldn't do it fully. And now Yisro, who is the extension of that, he is, I don't know if you realize this, Yitro has numerous names. You know what one of the names of Yisro is? It's called Caini. And throughout the prophets, he's called the Caini. Right? Yael Eishes Chaver Caini. He's called his name. He's called Cain. It's crazy. That's one of his names. Why is that? Because Yitro is the one who then fixes up that mission. He could have been like, and think about it. Yisro is the one who could see himself as the most important guy in the world. He was the high priest of the world. And he leaves it all, and he comes and he comes to the desert and says, no, I'm willing to become, second fiddle. I mean, it's a little Kabbalistic tonight, but actually the commentary says, as an aside, I'm going to show you now, but it says that Moshe, his soul comes from the side of Hevel. And that's what it says. It says that when Yitro comes, he says, to the desert, he says, Ani chosecha Yisro ba'alecha, I'm your father, Yisro, and V'ishtecha. And the Arizal says, I'm bringing you your wife. And he says the deeper meaning is, I'm bringing you the twin sister that I stole from you. This is a very, very wild process. How does this relate to us? Let's understand a second what this means. So Reuven really this is the major challenge in life. The major challenge in life is that is that, a person, if we think that whatever we have is ours and nothing else can be mine, your world is completely different. And the sages say that. Sages say that your chelik, your portion, no one could touch it. So when you look at the world that way, if you look at the world and you say, hey, I have exactly what I need, you can't take away what's really due to me, and I can't take away what's due to you. If you have that worldview, then you live in a completely different reality. That was the problem with a person like Cain. And that was the problem that Reuven had. And it's a very hard thing when you start to feel, the jealousy, because you start to say, wait a minute, I'm deserving of it. And that's what Reuven felt. Reuven was, in a certain sense, Yosef is called the Bechor, the firstborn of Yaakov's thoughts. Even though Reuven was in action, but Yaakov was thinking he was having Yosef. And that was a stigma for Reuven. And that was a great challenge. That was a stigma for Cain. It was a stigma for Reuven. A stigma for many people. And that's a very famous thing. This Parshas we have also. It says that, when we bless the kids, we bless them. We say they should be like Ephraim and Menashe. And the commentaries say, why Ephraim and Menashe? There's a lot of great Jews. Why do you bless your kids to be like Ephraim and Menashe? And one reason is a very beautiful reason is because when Yaakov switched his hands and he gives the blessing, the priority blessing, the right-handed blessing to the younger son, so he sees what happens. At that moment, the younger son could feel conceited. Oh, I'm more important. And the older son, Menashe, could feel jealous. My younger brother's beating me out. But he saw that wasn't what was happening. Yaakov saw that they each understood their makom, their place, their expression in the world. And once that happened, that's the basis of the bracha, that your kids should be like Ephraim and Menashe. They should neither have the haughtiness to say, I'm more important, nor the jealousy to say, I'm less important. That's a human being understanding his makom, his place. The power of Cain, as we said, is the power of I acquired something. It's good because it's good. It's called Gova Liba by Hashem. It's good to have a quality that you say, I'm important. I could do something. But then at the same time, if you have to not cross the line like Cain did, you have to know your place. On the other hand, Hevel, to think I'm nothing is very, very bad. It's you don't do anything. But to say that I'm not the end all is crucial in your relationship. These are the two systems. That's why we talk about the root of their souls. They really are centered around these. These are two main approaches: the Cain approach and the Hevel approach. And that was the challenge again for Reuven. He made it partially. He saved Joseph, and that's what his mother said. Look at my son. He mastered it. But as Yaakov said, you didn't go all the way because you still had the jealousy for your mother, which was really in the end jealousy for yourself because you felt this was who am I? I'm second fiddle. And when you did that, you caused a tremendous ramification in the world. He prevented that next tribe from coming into the world, who, according to the Malbim, would have been the unifier of the system, the 13, because 13 is the numerical value, the gematria of echad, of one. The 13th thing is the unifier. And he prevented that, all because of the jealousy. And that was why it's so significant that he lost out on all this potential greatness because he didn't finish the job. The Rizal talks about in the future, will Reuven then get the Bechor, the first right born back? Could be that could be an approach. But as far as the job he had in this world, almost close, but not fully. So that's what we got to do, guys. We got to go and say everyone's got a space. Everyone has a place in the world. No one can encroach on my space. I can't encroach on your space. And when you realize that you have exactly what you need in the world, you look at the world in a very, very different way. All right. Thank you, everybody. Take care. Good night.
So if you fix that